Do you deal with severe numbness in some of your different body parts? Well, I do, and it can be rather annoying. I've had numbness in my back from the surgical site for many years, and I have a leg that is quite numb because of a blood clot. And speaking of blood clots, they are something that I've had experience with. In fact, I've had two. I've had one in each leg. Well, actually, the left foot in the right knee. The second one in my knee has never dissolved. I'm on thinners, of course, to manage that. And it's something that I found out years later after discovering or found out about the blood clot that if they're below the knee, the medical profession doesn't become too concerned with them. So it's just something you have to put up with. But numbness is very difficult to deal with, and there's so many things that you miss doing, you can't do, and you take for granted, like for instance sitting in a dining room chair or on other hard seats, and I'll let your imagination run with that. It's hard to get up after 10 or 15 minutes because your leg is completely numb, and that's obviously because there's no circulation, a blood clot. The blood is allowed to go down to your extremities, but the blood clot keeps it from coming up. And again, I'm not a medical professional, and I don't claim to know everything about blood clots, but I just know how that they affect me and how the numbness affects me, and it can be quite tiring at times, and it can keep you from doing activities that you used to do. And obviously when one of your extremities goes to sleep, well, you have to kind of lay down and wait for the circulation to come back. So it can be annoying, it is annoying, and it takes away from the quality of your life. But of course, if you realize or something is wrong with any one of your extremities, particularly your legs. I know the first blood clot I had, that leg swelled up like a balloon, and it was quite obvious that something was wrong. So there are warning signs for blood clots, and that you can recognize, and it's important to get them checked out by your medical professionals. So I've said I've had two of them, still deal with one, so it can make things pretty tough. But nerve damage pain is something too that is kind of involved with numbness, and it's a weird feeling, for sure. It's something you got to be very careful with. Like, I'm sure I could put a fairly hot water on those parts that are numb, and you wouldn't feel it. In fact, it might lead to a burn and that sort of thing before you would notice that anything was wrong. So you have to be very careful, and you have to watch what you're doing. And I'm sure if you deal with numbness or these types of things from surgery or other problems, you can relate. And I think obviously the older you get, the worse the condition gets. It doesn't get any better. But there are things you can do to manage the pain. Obviously, exercise is one of the biggest things that you can do. Walking, doing moderate cardio, and a little bit of weight training at times, and stretching is very important. It's not going to solve the problem, but it's going to keep you flexible and keep you moving, because like I said, that's oftentimes when things get worse, for myself, when I sit on a hard surface, and after 10 or 15 minutes, the leg starts to go numb, and it's not a nice sensation for sure. If you've ever had, your arm or your leg just go numb, then you know what I'm talking about. So it can be difficult to deal with, and I've learned to just take my own pace again, when these things start to happen, and you do get used to it, and you put up with it, and that's about all I can say about that. But I just want to make clear to you out there that if you're dealing with these types of problems, numbness in any extremity, any part of your body, that I understand what you're going through, and it's not all bad. You just have to rest when you get tired, or when you find out that you can't do anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to be able to realize your own limitations. So when you think about some of the things you can't do, or some of the things you got to be more careful of, you obviously wouldn't want to be climbing onto roofs, or up scaffolding, or these types of more dangerous activities. You get older, you can't really do those things anyways, and you slow down. But there is hope that you can help yourself and get some help, with these issues. And while blood clots can obviously be very serious, and certainly your lungs is one place you do not want to get blood clots, you have to be careful. But medical profession is very well equipped to handle these things. I had a hematologist, tell me most of this stuff that I've been mentioning here, and there isn't really a whole lot now. Of course, there is the option of surgery if it does get bad enough, and that's something I may be able to look at in the future. And obviously, recently COVID has really cramped the medical profession, and there's waiting lists that are very long, and so I'm waiting to see a specialist in that regard. But in the meantime, you have to be mindful of your limitations, and watch the situations you get into. But I mean, if you're a younger person and you're getting these types of blood clots, which is completely possible. In fact, one fellow that's my age, I actually went to school with, he had a blood clot, and it unfortunately did some serious damage to his body. I mean, he's okay with it now, but so don't think that just because you're young it can't happen. It can, and it's something that needs to be looked after right away, because it can lead to some pretty serious issues. And it's possible that it may be hereditary somewhat. You may have had relatives in the past that have dealt with different things. These are all kinds of the things you look for, or you find out later when you've been dealing with this issue. But I want to again stress the fact that learning your limitations and getting on with your life is important. And I mean, obviously you're going to be depressed for a little bit, and you're going to be scared like I was. You hear the word blood clot, and it makes you think for sure. But it can be treated and with blood thinners and so on. And of course, that's something you have to be careful with too. You don't really want to be around saws or machinery where you can cut yourself with the possibility of bleeding out. So there's lots of things that you have to be mindful of. But the biggest thing I stress to you is if you know something's not right, if you feel something wrong, or if you see a one of your limbs swelling up, then it's time to seek medical help. So I hope my little spiel here has been helpful. And again, I'm just basically rambling on, unscripted, and telling you about my experience. And I hope that some of you can take comfort in that and can continue on your way, because like I said, we all have challenges that we face, and that's what it's all about, trying to keep everyone upbeat. And it's good to talk about your own experience, and I encourage you to like this video, to leave your comments, and I would certainly respond to them in kind, and try to help as much as I can. So with that, now we're going to sign off, and we will chat again soon.